Hello, it's a beautiful though wet evening out here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Hope I meet you all in high spirits as the nation is today. You don't need to ask why. With the inauguration of the new Federal Executive Council and swearing in of ministers, the next level agenda, I dare say, is in full flight. We have that and many related stories. The last of the 2019 presidential election may just be about to be heard as election court reserves judgment on PDP petition. In today's package, we also bring you the big news worth celebrating about the fight against polio. As usual, we have a wide range of stories from governance, the business environment, education, the power sector, road, maritime, safety, and of course, sports is not left out. And with the unpredictable wet weather these days, don't go away till we give you the weather prospects for Thursday. So sit back as we serve you the package because the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Umaruba and this is News Extra. You're welcome. And we begin. I can comfortably tell you that the next level agenda of the federal government is in full flight with the inauguration of the Federal Executive Council earlier in the day. But anybody thinking it's business as usual had better listen well, as President Buhari has warned newly appointed ministers not to allow issues relating to political affiliation, sectional interests and primordial loyalties to becloud their patriotic obligation towards shifting the nation's trajectory on the path of sustainable growth and development. He also said meaningful progress can only be made in Nigeria's restoration efforts if they all commit themselves towards addressing prevailing challenges in the best interest of all Nigerians. This was the swearing in of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the 43 newly appointed members of the Federal Executive Council. And State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
Apart from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, 14 out of the 43 ministers have returned to the Federal Executive Council under the Buhari presidency, while 29 were newly appointed. Presiding over the swearing-in ceremony witnessed by their spouses and other top government officials, President Muhammadu Buhari reminded the appointees that they were chosen to, amongst others, share his commitment to working tirelessly towards a future where every Nigerian can reach his or her potential.
I believe you are ready to get to work. Indeed, the work has already started. For the first 2 days, you were with me at the retreat. I shared my vision for Nigeria and what our priorities will be for the next 4 years. These priorities are the pillars on which we can build a better Nigeria. As you are aware, the core objectives of this administration is to improve security, achieve diversified, inclusive economic growth, and fight corruption. I am convinced that we can build a buoyant economy that supports inclusive growth and creates broad-based prosperity for every Nigerian.
The president described as pleasing that the economic recovery and growth plan is still robust and indeed on course towards engendering growth and promoting value chain of infrastructural development, which he believes can be sustained with good governance.
Our primary business over the next 4 years is to work together towards delivering the results that the people of Nigeria expect from us. I am pleased to note that each of you is committed to be part of an administration that will work for all Nigerians, part of a government that will do what is right and best at all times for our people, even when it is difficult. This is therefore an opportunity for you. It is a call to serve and collectively build a safer, more prosperous and fair nation.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who announced the expansion of the federal ministries for effective service delivery, urged the ministers to be relentless in delivering priorities that are vital towards achieving the objectives of the next level agenda. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the next report, Ruth Aguele gives a breakdown of the 43 new ministers and their portfolios as assigned by President Muhammadu Buhari.
The 43 ministerial list is a combination of the new and returning ministers. Dr. Uche Chukwu Oga, Minister of State, Mines and Steel Development. Mohamed Musa Bello retained his post as Minister of FCT. Godswill Akpabio, Minister of Niger Delta. Chris Ngige also returned as Minister of Labour and Employment. Sharon Ikazo, Minister of State Environment. Adamu reappointed as Minister of Education. Mariam Katugum, Minister of State, Industry, Trade and Investment. Timi Praise Silva, Minister of State, Petroleum. George Akume, Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs. Mustafa Baba Shehuri, Minister of State, Agriculture and Rural Development. Others are Godi Jadi Agba, Minister of State, Power. Festus Kayamo, Minister of State, Niger Delta. Ogbonnaya Onu, reappointed as Minister of Science and Technology. Osage Ehanere, Minister of Health. Clement Agba, Minister of State, Budget and National Planning. Richard Adeniyi Adebayo, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. Jeffrey Onyama, reappointed as Minister of Foreign Affairs. Ali Issa Pantami is now the Minister of Communications. Emeka Nwajuba, Minister of State, Education. Suleiman Adamu, still in charge as Minister of Water Resources. Similarly, Zainab Ahmed also reappointed as Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning. Mohammed Mahmoud, Minister of Environment. Sabo Nanono, Minister of State, Agric and Rural Development. Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, Minister of Defense. Hadi Sirika returns as Minister of Aviation. Similarly, Abubakar Malami reappointed as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. Ramatu Tijani, Minister of State, FCT. Lai Mohammed retained his position as Minister of Information and Culture. Bemisola Saraki, Minister of State, Transportation, while Babatunde Fashola returns as Minister of Works and Housing. Adeleke Mamora, Minister of State, Health. Also, Mohamed Abdullahi, Minister of State, Science and Technology. Zubair Dada, Minister of State, Foreign Affairs. Olamilekan Adegbite, Minister of Mines and Steel Development. Tayo Alasho Adura, Minister of State, Labour and Employment. Rauf Aregbeshola, now the Minister of Interior. Sunday Dare, Minister of Youth and Sports. Pauline Tallinn is appointed as Minister of Women Affairs. Rotimi Amici retained his position as Minister of Transportation. Megari Dingyadi, Minister of Police Affairs. Saleh Mamman, Minister of Power. Abubakar Aliyu, Minister of State, Works and Housing. Sadia Umar Farouk, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development.
Thank you, Ruth. The new ministers have been speaking on their appointments and promising to deliver on their mandate. State House correspondent Gideon Ifade reports that the Senate President Ahmed Lawan equally promised to give necessary support to the executive arm of government to achieve its set agenda.
The picture is crystal clear now on where the nation is heading, and the new ministers have all promised to work with the president in achieving the next level agenda. I spoke with some of them after the inauguration.
It's a rich menu, given the fact that the ministers have been very carefully selected and deployed. Nigerians should expect quite a lot.
It was a top secret, and of course until Mr. President revealed, nobody knew what they were going to get. We want to lift people out of poverty, so we'll begin to encourage our people to add value to the minerals.
It's a duty that we have to ensure that we we keep in line with the expectations of the people.
We need to cooperate, collaborate, and work as a team. And that's what we are going to do. There's no way out of it.
It's an enormous responsibility, and we'll do our best. We will seek the cooperation of everybody, whether it's the National Assembly, the governors, everybody, the people of Nigeria in general, wherever we can reach, because this is a task that cannot be done by one segment of governance.
The last 4 years, we had a roadmap, a 15-year roadmap on how to restructure and reposition the ministry and the sector, the water resources sector. And we are going to continue with that roadmap. But of course, in the last 2 days, we have been informed that there are additional priorities of government, and there will be key mandates that will be given to us. So we have to take all those and also key into them.
The Senate screened the ministerial nominees, then ministers today, and we found them to be worthy of being appointed ministers, people of great capacity, experience, and loyalty.
I'm confident that the President had examined all attributes before arriving at this conclusion, and we fully support him.
There is no doubt that before the federal ministers is a huge task. But as observed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, with teamwork, commitment and hard work, the task is surmountable. Nigerians expect the ministers to hit the ground running, and that they have promised to do. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NJ News.
In the meantime, the newly appointed female ministers are assuring Nigerians that they will live up to their expectations in trustworthiness towards moving the country forward. State House correspondent Ali Kabir reports.
Taking the development agenda of the present administration into cognizance, the role of women is paramount, especially as they formed the large number of voters that brought the successes of the current administration during the last general elections. In responding to the calls of Nigerians, especially women, of giving them more recognition, 7 women are appointed as cabinet ministers in the current dispensation by President Muhammadu Buhari, with the exception of the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Shamsuna Ahmad from Kaduna State. All the 6 ministers are newly appointed to the job.
I am praying to the Almighty God that all Nigerians should value and know the importance of women in national development. I'm believing that God brought me to this ministry for a purpose, and He will not send me there without fully equipping me.
A continuation of the hard work, dedication and legacy we left behind in pension administration, because we're here for the service to Nigerians and not for patronage.
They should be looking forward to proper engagement, encouragement, empowerment, and of course accommodation. Definitely we will do this.
With the new mandate given to the newly appointed ministers representing the women folk in the council, the appointees are optimistic that their contribution will add value to the development plan of the government in its quest of moving the nation forward. On the State House, Ali Kabir, NTA News.
And so congratulations to them there. Now, the dimension of internal security threats in the country has oftentimes taken the center stage, especially amongst key players and citizens. Do India, and this report takes a look at the inauguration of the new ministers and government's continuous determination towards stemming the tides of insecurity and how the enabling environment for socio-economic stability can be better achieved.
One of the many assurances given by President Muhammadu Buhari shortly after his inauguration for second term in office is that of its promptness towards inaugurating his cabinet. Interestingly, the President has fulfilled that pledge. But behind the pomp-and-tree of this inauguration of the cabinet is the expectation by Nigeria, and one key aspect of that is the present state of security in the country. It is said that for any nation to develop, there must be the enabling environment for socio-economic activity. Nigeria, with a population of over 150 million, is taking advantage of its huge economic potentials to make life meaningful for its citizenry. But this brilliant initiative of the government is being threatened by internal security challenges such as kidnapping, banditry, armed robbery, communal clashes, terrorism, and other violent crimes, a development which some Nigerians say should receive prompt attention, especially with the inauguration of the new ministers.
Crime is something that shouldn't be taken lightly, considering the fact that the law states a punishment for each crime.
It's very, very numerous. So when you mean crime, address crime.
And what should Nigerians expect?
Internal security is given the highest attention.
Ensure that the police is made capable of working to assist this administration in assuring that peace and security are maintained in this country.
I know we are going to be more capacitated in technological aspect of policing, and with that we are going to improve on what we've been doing already.
Nigerians should expect a comprehensive coverage of the security sector now that we have a full-fledged Ministry of Police Affairs.
That again brings to the fore the needed cooperations among security agents that are saddled with the responsibility of taking care of internal security architecture. In Abuja, doing Dia, NT News.
Nigeria, as an emerging market with relative growth in economic performance and investment, is on the pathway of building a sustainable economy that will attract more foreign direct investment. Abolade Salami in this report examines the impact of an industrialized economy as President Buhari names ministers of trade and investment.
A report by the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that the total value of foreign investment into Nigeria in the first quarter of 2019 rose by 34.6% year-on-year to $8.5 billion, while the total value of capital importation stood at $8.485 billion in the same quarter of 2019. This performance industry players attributed to the federal government resolve at repositioning the economy towards ensuring ease of doing business and the industrialization of the economy.
We want him to critically look at the interplay of monetary and fiscal policies such that he is able to ensure that they work in a robust manner that supports productivity. So we do not have the monetary policy, for instance, subverting what the monetary policy is doing and vice versa.
The growth trajectory they emphasized could improve if the new Minister for Industry, Trade and Investment promotes policies that would boost trade.
The Minister to work closely with the PEBEC office, which is in charge of the ease of doing business. I expect the Minister to be the voice of the private sector in the federal cabinet. I expect the Minister to be able to interface effectively with the Central Bank of Nigeria, so that whatever policies are coming out, either from the monetary policy angle, also from the fiscal policy angle, are things that will not hurt investors.
Nigeria, as an investment hub, needs to address the issue of some infrastructural challenges impeding the development of industries and trade in the country. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTN News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari has reappointed Femi Adesina as Special Advisor Media and Publicity and Malam Garba Shehu as Senior Special Assistant Media and Publicity. The President reappointed Mr. Laolo Akande as Senior Special Assistant Media and Publicity, Office of the Vice President. President Buhari also retained Tolu Ogunlesi, Bashir Ahmed, Loretta Onoche and Nazir Bashiru as Special Assistant Digital New Media Personal Assistant, New Media, Personal Assistant, Social Media, and Personal Assistant Visual Documentation, respectively. Following the election of Shaban Ibrahim Sharada, the former Personal Assistant Broadcast Media, as the lawmaker representing Kano Municipal Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives, the President has appointed Buhari Salou as his replacement. Similarly, President Buhari has reappointed Dr. Hajasani, Senior Special Assistant to the President President on Administration. Dr. Kamal Abdulrahman Mohammed, Special Assistant to the President on Health and Personal Physician, all in the office of the First Lady. Statement by the Deputy Director Information, Abiodun Oladunjoye, indicates that all appointments takes effect from May 29, 2019, except that of new entrant into the team, Buhari Sallau. In the meantime, the Buhari Media Organization, BMO, has hailed the reappointment of presidential spokespersons, Mr. Femi Adesina and Malam Garbashehu, as special advisor and senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity. In a statement signed by its chairman, Ni Akinsiju, and Secretary Kasidi Madweke, the group says the reappointment is in recognition of their commitment to the task of nation building and the confidence the president reposed in them. BMO expresses confidence that the reappointment will afford them the opportunity to help drive the change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration to the next level. BMO also congratulates other members of the presidential media team, Mr. Laulu Akande, Loretta Onoche and Bashir Ahmed, and wishes them a successful second tenure. Today is not only significant for Nigeria with the inauguration of 43 ministers that will take the country to the next level, but also Nigeria today is marking 3 years of 0 cases of wild polio virus. But it's not over until we are declared polio-free. Details when we return. Stay with us.
Bayes University is a fully licensed university operating since 2011 and has grown to have 32 accredited programs in 6 faculties. This includes computer and applied sciences, management and social sciences, engineering, environmental sciences, law, and basic medical sciences. The university also offers postgraduate programs and foundation courses in a conducive learning environment with modern teaching facilities and high-quality national and international staff. Bayes University graduates have either progressed into respectable career positions or have obtained postgraduate degrees from different parts of the world with distinctions. Call or visit www.bayesuniversity.edu.ng. Bayes University, Abuja. Learn to live.
The Aerial Assurance Challenge.
Oh, thank you. But what assurance can you give our daughter?
Everything. With the new look Aerial, I can even do the laundry.
Prove it then.
Okay. Let's make this stain even tougher. Now, let's wash the cloth. With your detergent and with new look Aerial. Do you believe me now? Aerial, now in a new look pack.
Mommy, that smells wonderful. What's the secret?
Do you want to know?
Yes.
Kiss, please.
Mwah.
I guess this jollof deserves something bigger.
Oh,
that's big.
Ooh, that's the biggest cube I've ever seen.
Bigger is better.
Discover new Geno Max, 25% bigger for a greater aroma and a richer taste.
Wow, that's big. Bigger is better.
New Geno Max 5 grams seasoning cube. Chicken and spice flavors. Bigger is better.
I love the new look of my favorite Nivea black and white deodorant. Same reliable double protection against sweat and against stains. No white marks on black and no yellow stains on my white clothes. Proven 48-hour protection with the new look black and white deodorant from Nivea. To the outer framers, the hat tippers, the turtleneckers, the fringe goers. You don't need to hide anymore. Try Dettol Even Tone. It cleans and helps to reduce the appearance of blemishes caused by oil, dirt and germs, giving your skin a healthy feel for an even better you. Dettol, be 100% sure.
His Royal Highness, the Emir of Gondu, Major General Muhammad Ilyas Bashar, CFR MNI, on behalf of the family of Al-Hajj Muhammad Saad Abubakar, CFR MNI, the Sultan of Sokoto, cordially invite the pleasure of friends and well-wishers to the wedding party of Fatima Abubakar and Mahmoud Abdullah Yuguda, which will take place at Sultan Bello Jumat Mosque, Sokoto. Date, Saturday, 21st August 2019. Time, 12 p.m. Announcer, Local Organizing Committee.
Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with Inspire Me Festival, United Kingdom and 7 Days Media present Business Investment Summit and Exhibition. Theme: Growing the Nigerian economy through foreign investments and partnership. Sector focus: agriculture, banking and finance, oil and gas, aviation, education, transportation, manufacturing, health, tourism, power and energy, market development, sport equipment and facilities, real estate, security, ICT, mining and housing. Date: 27 to 29 September 2019. Venue: Landmark Hotel, London, United Kingdom. For inquiries, contact 080-33010251. Participation open to state governments, agencies and parastatals, corporate organizations and the private sector. Business Investment Summit and Exhibition is proudly supported by Nigerians in Diaspora Commission.
Good to have you back on News Extra. This Wednesday witnessed series of legal fireworks at the Presidential Election Petition Court as counsel in the PDP petition adopted their final written addresses. With this development, when next these legal practitioners are converging as counsel in this petition on the Court of Appeal, it will be for judgment on the matter. Daily Atumbi reports that the court reserves judgment till later date in the petition.
Counsel in the petition of People's Democratic Party adopted their final written addresses before the Presidential Election Petition Court sitting in Abuja. Counsel to the Independent National Electoral Commission, Ustaz Usman SAN, in adopting his written address, urged the court to strike out the petition with costs. Usman SAN told the court that from the evidence of the witnesses by the petitioners, the electoral umpire conducted the February 23 presidential election in line with the provisions of the law as provided for in the Electoral Act. On the issue of electronic transmission of results, INEC, relying on Section 52 of the Electoral Act, maintained that result of the presidential election was never transmitted electronically. Counsel to President Muhammadu Buhari, Wole Olanipekun SAN, told the court that the petition is stabbed in evidence, thereby crying to air heavens for help without proving its case. On the eligibility of President Muhammadu Buhari to contest the presidential election, Wole Olanipekun SAN, relying on sections 131 and 318 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, said the Constitution was clear on the matter. Olanipekun SAN said since the petitioners failed on their part to prove their case, urged the court to dismiss the petition with substantial cost. Lateef Agbemi SAN, counsel to the APC, posited that from all the witnesses called by the petitioners, only 5 were those who witnessed what purportedly happened at the polling units in a presidential election conducted all over the Federation, where the petitioners were challenging its conduct in 119,923 polling units. Agbemi SAN urged the court to dismiss the petition since it was in want of evidence. Counsel to all the respondents were unanimous in objecting to the admissibility of all the documents tendered by the petitioners in their written addresses. Livy Uzogu SAN, counsel to the petitioners, urged the court to uphold the petition, having proved their case. In the petition, the PDP and its candidate Atiku Abubakar are challenging the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari in the February 23 presidential election. To prove their case, the petitioners called 62 witnesses. President Muhammadu Buhari, as the second respondent in the case through his counsel, Wole Olanipekun SAN, called 7 witnesses who told the 5-man presidential election petition court, led by Justice Mohammed Garba, that the presidential election was free, fair, and credible. The APC and INEC closed their defense without calling any witness. The PDP and its candidate are challenging the conduct of the presidential election in 11 states in the North Central, Northeast, and Northwest geopolitical zones of the country.
We as lawyers, we have concluded our professional duties. What is now left is for the court to study the evidence, read addresses, the law, examine the authorities cited, and then deliver its judgment. And whichever way the decision of the court goes, this case will define electoral jurisprudence in this country.
Other counsel in the matter declined comments. The Presidential Election Petition Court has between now and 15th September 2019 to deliver its judgment in line with the provision of the law, as the adjudication on this petition cannot go beyond 180 days from the day of filing it. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Thank you very much, Dele Atumbi. And away from that, a reception was organized in honor of the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, for his reappointment. The dinner held shortly after the minister assumed duty at the ministry, and it attracted people from different walks of life, especially from Kwara State. All Progressives Congress, top officials of Ministry of Information and Culture, and heads of agencies and parastatals in the ministry. Speakers at the event acknowledged the contribution of Lai Mohammed to the information and culture sectors and see his appointment as the right decision to enable him consolidate.
Teachers, present and not here, we hand you over into the hand of Almighty God, who will make the success we made of the first tenure to be a child's play to what is coming up now.
We wish him well, and we in the ministry are set to work with him.
Once again, I thank you, Honorable Minister, and I wish you all the best in office.
As much as we are happy that you're back, there's another part of us, because we probably won't see you again. We miss you, and we want you to use this particular tenure to try and strike a balance.
Lai Mohammed expressed appreciation for the honor and thanked President Buhari for having confidence in him by reappointing him for a second time.
On record my appreciation to the President, who has appreciated my little contribution, and who by reappointing me and bringing me back to the same ministry, I think has clearly demonstrated that he has some confidence in me.
Now we welcome back our minister. Now, the Nigerian Navy has raised an alarm over the high volume of wrecks blocking the nation's waterways, especially from the Tinkan Island and the Badagry-Lagos axis. Flag Officer Commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Oladele Daji, while on the spot assessment of the creeks in the Western Naval Command, identified other hazard posed by the wrecks. Then, Leneke reports.
The Nigerian maritime domain has suffered unquantified losses, which would have contributed to gross domestic product owing to the wreckage which are scattered across the Lagos creeks as environmental pollution, impaired visibility of mariners, and bad navigational aids are some of the issues considered as impediments to safety of navigation. One of such casualties, the Flag Officer Commanding West says, is the NNS Calabar on routine patrol, a case he said cannot go unnoticed as it hampered effective operations.
Already, about 35 of such maritime wrecks have been identified, which are submerged along the very busy Lagos Channel, particularly the Lagos Badagry Creek. This surveys have been shared with the relevant agencies for removal of these wrecks in our waterways, so that shipping, especially the safety of ships and seafarers, will further be guaranteed.
He explains that the Hydrography Office of the Navy had resurveyed the wrecks as is working assiduously with relevant agencies responsible for the removal. He assured Nigerians of safety and security of the nation's territorial waters. In Lagos, Lane Lenake, NTA News.
The United Kingdom and United States started the philosophy of community policing many decades ago that helped in guaranteeing effective security. Well, the philosophy of community policing came to Nigeria in 2004, but how far and how well, especially in the face of prevailing insecurity? Over to Talatu Ezerike.
Societies are segmented into urban and rural settlements, a common phenomenon for all insecurity, which many say is taken seriously at all levels to complement the effort of the police for effective results.
If your neighbor is engaged or is involved in one shady deal or the other, you'll be able to tell the head of the community, say, Baba, so has gone to the town, and whenever it comes to the village, this are the kind of thing that is always bringing.
With the changing pattern of crimes, voices are high for the implementation of community policing based on its proactive approach and its closeness to the people.
If community policing will work, it's better for us, because what we are spending now, I'm sure we are not going to spend as much on community policing.
We're talking in terms of security and taking security to the grassroots by community policing. Nobody wants to sleep with his eyes open. Everybody wants to sleep with both eyes closed.
Others applaud federal government's commitment to community policing approach and other measures taken in improving the police force.
We put security on the top list. If President Muhammad Buhari has already gave a directive and set of a committee to come up with the modalities on how to go about the police trust fund.
What we need first of all is to change the attitude of the policeman that this job you are doing is an honorable job, and Nigerians will respect him because he's doing an honorable job. So see police as dustbin, footmat.
Well, if the saying that it takes two to tango is anything to go by, then the police and the citizens are expected to advance workable partnership for public safety. Talatu Ezerike, NTA News.
How many thanks, Talatu Ezerike. Now, Birnin Gwari, a local government area in Kaduna State, became notorious as a result of security challenges that bedeviled the area. The good news now is Birnin Gwari is now peaceful and secure. It is on this premise that the Birnin Gwari Emirate restarted its annual Durbar, which gave indigents and visitors alike a taste of Birnin Gwari that we used to know. Abdullahi Muhammad tells us more.
Guns being shot in the air, this time around in celebration of Hawandoshe in Birnin Gwari, as against that of the bandits and kidnappers. This festival was kept on hold for the last 4 years owing to security challenges. The royal family of Birnin Gwari and title holders came out in their royal regalia, riding on gorgeously decorated horses, showcasing the rich cultural heritage of the people of Hawandoshe in Birnin Gwari has been an avenue to reaffirm loyalty to the emir and exhibit the beliefs of the people.
I am calling on you to unite and work together for the development of our area. We should avoid hatred, let's love one another and live peacefully.
This year's celebration is a pointer to the fact that Birnin Gwari has returned to the peaceful community it was. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
And there is need for government and the global community to design strategies that will guarantee total integration of victims of terrorism. This view was emphasized by respondents in Lagos as the world marks Day of Remembrance and Tribute to the Victims of Terrorism. Michael Olale reports.
The world is experiencing the highest rate of displacement, as about 71 million people globally have been forced away from their homes by conflicts and terrorism, according to the United Nations Refugee Agency. Nigeria is not an exemption, as more than 100 people were reportedly killed by the Boko Haram sect in 2017, with over 2 million people displaced by acts of terrorism. Apart from the loss of lives and displacement of residents, the Global Terrorism Index put the economic impact of terrorism at $52 billion in 2017. What now stares at the face of the global community is how to make the voices of victims of terrorism heard, supported, and their rights upheld.
In Borno State, we have 3.3 million. Beyond IDP camp, what is the life that these people are going to live?
Although Nigeria is expanding its Northeast Early Recovery Program to give a new lease of life to victims of terrorism, but respondents are looking beyond the horizon.
The state should assist further by way of either grants, soft loan, farming implement, and for those who are breadwinners that unfortunately have their life terminated, if they have children behind who are in school, federal government can, or state government as the case may be, can go further to give the children scholarship.
In 2017 alone, about 3/4 of all deaths caused by terrorism were in just 5 countries alone, Nigeria inclusive. This is why the United Nations inaugurated the International Day of Remembrance and Tribute to Victims of Terrorism. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NT News.
In another development, Nigeria is marking 3 years of 0 cases of wild polio virus. This is one of the diseases Nigeria has been battling with over the years. Some good news there, you might agree. Well, records indicate that with concerted efforts from the federal government and development partners, the country is now on the verge of being declared free of the wild polio virus. Let's hear the details from Chinduma Indubisi.
3 years ago, Nigeria was on the brink of being declared free of wild polio virus. But something happened. Few cases of the virus were reported in some quarters. Frontline healthcare providers point at insecurity in parts of the nation as major cause of the setback. The federal government, after committing to end the wild polio virus in the country, mounted a rapid and aggressive outbreak response, pumping in 9.8 billion naira into the national immunization program. The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency says it swung into action with development partners, increasing the sensitivity of surveillance system. Traditional and religious leaders were also involved to mobilize people to accept vaccination for their children, especially in the hard-to-reach areas. Routine immunization was also strengthened. This saw the increase in pentavalent 3 from 33 to 50% being recorded. 3 years down the line, the agency is sharing a success story.
The 21st day of August 2019 marks exactly 3 years since the last case of white polio virus in Nigeria. So what it really means is that for the last 3 years, not a single child has been reported with paralysis due to white polio virus. This has never happened in the history of Nigeria. So today is really to acknowledge that milestone. But there's more work to be done.
Certification will now begin. This will be taking several months, will be completed by sometime in the spring of 2020.
Before the certification, the nation is expected to maintain the tempo of strengthening surveillance system for acute flaccid paralysis and routine immunization to prevent reoccurrence of the virus. The agency in charge of immunization says it is confident the certification will come. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
This is sure good news, Chimdema. When News Extra returns after this break, we shall bring you Udiroko Festival from Ekiti State that marks the commencement of the traditional New Year of Ado Ekiti.
Celebrating something won't happen any other way. Moments will feel joy. Been lost in the moment, the freedom. You will find that's what's celebrating. Bring your moments alive. Find your satisfaction in the nourishing, trending, sparkling.
The
Fanta sparkling fruit drink. Celebrate every moment.
Team huddle. But we lost. Don't be tired, guys. This isn't a loss. It's a practice for winning.
Nothing makes a mother prouder than seeing her child growing up. But I know as he learns to lead, he'll face even more dirt, germs, and risk of illness.
That's why in changing seasons, you need strong Dettol protection. Because Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Bag of goodies. Scratch and win promo. Hey, you never big like this before. Many Kaja that wolf they wait to now for this season. For the Dangote bag of goodies, scratch and win promo. 43 tier over cars, over 200 million naira money cash, tricycle, motorcycle, refrigerator, television set, plenty other gifts where you stay fit to win. No, only the way you need to do to win now to just buy one bag of Dangote special bag of goodies cement. Check inside the bag for scratch card. Scratch the card and anything where you see inside now you don't win. So come carry your scratch card to that Dangote depot where they near you. Or carry am go regional office or wholesale shop where they your area. So you go fit to collect it wait till you win in sharply. As you buy more bags now, be say you get more opportunity to win plenty more better. Check posters and newspapers for more story. The promo go day from July 1st to September 31st, 2019.
I love the new look of my favorite Nivea black and white deodorant. Same reliable double protection against sweat and against stains. No white marks on black and no yellow stains on my white clothes. Proven 48-hour protection with the new look black and white deodorant from Nivea.
Welcome back. The Platinum Mortgage Bank is collaborating with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to provide more affordable housing to Nigerians. Strategy for the partnership were further discussed with a visit to the management of the Federal Mortgage Bank in Abuja.
When the leading primary mortgage company meets the apex mortgage organization in any country, something good is expected to happen. And so, this visit by the Platinum Mortgage Bank to the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is one that will interest players in that sector. The Managing Director, Chief Executive of Platinum Mortgage Bank, Emmanuel Mbaka, was quick to point out the company's recapitalization to the sum of 7 billion naira and targets 10 billion naira next year.
The board and management of Federal Mortgage Bank working with the government are trying to recapitalize Federal Mortgage Bank to the volume where the issue of funding will be a far cry and will be a thing of the past, in which case we have more than sufficient funding for creating mortgages for Nigerian workers.
The Managing Director, Chief Executive, Federal Mortgage Bank, Ahmed Dangiwa, acknowledged the strides of Platinum Mortgage Bank and pledged to partner in the delivery of affordable housing.
We are still committed to advance more facilities on this for home ownership. We are willing to partner with you or with the organization to create an enabling environment for further synergy in this service delivery of home ownership to Nigerians.
Ahmed Dangiwa also appealed to the central bank to relax rules guiding primary mortgage financing to create more primary mortgages like the Platinum Mortgage Bank. Platinum Mortgage Bank was awarded the most outstanding bank by the Federal Mortgage Bank last year.
The people of Okpake, a community in Ajakuta local government area of Kogi State, can now heave a sigh of relief after many decades of total blackout. This followed the inauguration of an 80-kilowatt power solar grid by the Rural Electrification Agency to illuminate the area. Charles Alpha has more.
I can't know the time we started suffering for this year. Because those white men have been coming here in olden days. Before they left here, since that time we are in darkness today.
Thank God now, say we have got the right.
Okpake community is about 20 kilometers from the highway and one of 12 communities to benefit from the first set of grants under the Rural Electrification Fund of the federal government. This community and environs have lived in utter darkness for many years, and this time it was one of their illustrious sons, the Executive Director, Rural Electrification Agency, Sanusi Ohiare, who finally made their dream of connecting with the outside world possible.
We realize that we can't all rely on the national grid. This is one option for us to provide electricity, generate it at source, and distribute it to rural communities.
What you're seeing here is an 80 kilowatt solar hybrid mini grid. This project is expected to serve more neighboring communities,
generating 81,602 total solar watts in addition to its inverter capacity of 60 kVA. Its 9.6 kilometer distribution network totals 496 connections across communities in Upake and Obangede. The mini grid is to supply 24 hours of uninterrupted power supply to about 2,976 homes.
We developed sustainable off-grid solar project for communities to make sure that every community is not left behind and each community has the amount of power they need.
We are expected to have about 450 households to be connected to this solar mini grid. And so far so good. We have
Kogi State Governor Alhaji Yahaya Bello, in a message to the Commission, lauded efforts of both the federal government and the agency, restating his commitment to a robust socio-economic development of the state. The Rural Electrification Fund is being implemented by the Rural Electrification Agency from Opake community in Kogi State. Charles Alpha, NTN News.
In another development, key players in the trade and agriculture sectors are sustaining momentum in shifting from a mono-economy to a diversified one. This time, the attention is on banana and plantain processing as the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment brings together parties in workshop to brainstorm on adding value to banana and plantain. Two agricultural products, they say, have the potential to shore up foreign exchange earnings for the country. Moplang Dakok has the report.
Nigeria is the fifth largest producer of banana and plantain in the world, with 2.8 million metric tons per annum, which experts say can generate more than 2 billion naira annually for the country. But sadly, 41 to 50% of the produce are lost post-harvest. Celestina Chuku says she loses at least 2,000 naira worth of plantain each week.
We buy from Benden, and if now unripe, it will stay like 1 week. If not ripe, it will stay like 3 days before it spoil.
Many people like Celestina Chuku would love to preserve their plantain for longer period of time.
Processing is the best. You add value, you make more money. Not only to your pocket, but to the nation's pocket.
Plantain farmers, processors and marketers at this workshop were sensitized on how to improve the volume and value of their produce and see beyond export of plantain and banana in their raw forms to value addition before hitting the market.
When these fruits are produced in excess, it can be processed and stored in form of banana and plantain powder, which is used in confectionaries, bakeries, etc.
We must develop our MSMEs to be able to compete and to be able to come up with products that can be accepted internationally.
The desired outcome of this two-day workshop in Nasarawa State is to increase farmers' income, increase GDP, and place Nigeria on a global scale of plantain exports. Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
And Kogi State has witnessed one of the most devastating flash floods in the past, resulting in the killing of people and destruction of property, as well as intervention by international partners. With the prediction by Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, Kogi State government has stepped up preparation to avert the reoccurrence of the natural disaster. You know what they say, is teaching time saves 9. Charles Alpha reports.
Kogi is one of the states in Nigeria faced with the problem of flood. And since the 2012 flood disaster, which left tales of woes on the lives of the people in the state, government and critical stakeholders have been working very hard to ensure that mitigate the effects should it happen again. The 2012 flood was the worst recorded in the history of Kogi State. Since then,
Government and relevant stakeholders have taken a holistic study of the causes of the disaster, with findings identifying blocked and lack of drainages, as well as building on waterways as responsible for flooding in the state.
One of them was the release of water from Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. And since then, the Nigerian government and the Cameroonian side have come together, and based on the MOU that they have to notify the Nigerian side, and the gradual release is already established.
The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted that the general outlook of annual rainfall amount for this year to be from normal to below normal. However, Kogi State, which is confluenced to Nigeria's two major rivers, Niger and Benue, is most likely to experience flooding as a result of high rainfall from either within and outside the country. Now, given the high level of pains flood can cause, the federal and state governments, in a bid to banish memories of the 2012 flood disaster, began to build embankment on the riverbank.
The lower retaining wall has been completed, and the filling has gone very far, and some part of it, the higher embankment, the higher retaining wall has been done.
The State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, is not relenting in ensuring that those living along floodplains are properly sensitized and shelter put in place in case of any eventuality.
We are getting in touch with our local agents, the local government people, the stakeholders, telling everybody to get ready in case there is flood, so that we are not caught unaware.
For now, Kogi State is yet to record any major case of flood this year, but the water level is rising, making people in floodplains to be apprehensive. In Lokoja, Kogi State, Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Now, when you promote culture and tradition, you invariably enhance social and economic growth of the country. This is not my assertion, it is from someone who should know. He is the Ewi of Ado-Ekiti, Oba Rufus Adejuba. That was his message at the grand finale of this year's Uduroko Festival, which marks the commencement of traditional New Year of Ado-Ekiti in Ekiti State. Ayodeji Ogunshakin reports.
The Ewi Oba Adejuba, who emphasized the lucrative nature of promoting cultural heritage of people, enjoined federal governments to consider establishment of museum at the palace for promotion of heritage and economic benefits. He acknowledged the efforts of government at tackling the different forms of security threats in the country and advocated security consciousness among Nigerians. The state governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, represented, said Udiroko Festival has been in the forefront of promoting the rich cultural heritage and affirmed government resolve to evolve every measure towards promoting the heritage of the state. To sons and daughters as well as dignitaries, the celebration was a true reflection of Nigerians' people and culture.
There are many other things in the health sector, in the education sector, that comes out of this festival.
It promotes unity, it promotes love, it promotes progress,
growth and development. Oh, human resources, even to the government of
the do's and don'ts of the people, obviously, will be known to the new generation.
As tradition demands, chiefs from different quarters of the ancient town and different groups paid royal homage to the monarch, while the rich culture was also on display. From Ado-Ekiti, Ayodeji Ogunshakin, NTA News.
If I ask you whether you have read a book this year, I know many of you will say no. Why? Well, let's hear from stakeholders who are advocating appropriate policy and effective method of address the poor reading culture. We'll bring you details after the break. Please stay with us.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Great to know you're still with us on News Extra. Poor reading culture among Nigerian youths, particularly students of primary, post-primary and tertiary levels, is assuming an alarming proportion and calls for concern. Stakeholders at the Made in National Conference on Children's Books and Teaching of Early Grade Reading in Nigeria are advocating appropriate policy and effective methods to address the trend. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
It is an established fact that reading is an essential skill that is necessary for effective learning at all levels. Reading is not only enables the learner to reach out to all knowledge sources, but also speed up the learning process. But this has been a challenge to Nigerian youth for many years that need to be tackled. This meeting brought together researchers, educationists, policy makers, and practitioners to fashion out ways of addressing the problem.
Another major failure is also the lack of appropriate and sufficient age-grade learning materials, especially published texts that will motivate the children to learn quickly and with pleasure in both English and the indigenous languages.
Stakeholders believe that the conference came at the right time, considering the negative impact of poor reading culture among Nigerian youth.
Certainly, reading is fundamental to education because it is the foundation of knowledge, and the deficiencies in other areas of education could easily be remedied if the student has developed appropriate reading skills.
It is expected at the end of the conference, educationists and policy makers will provide a workable solution on appropriate materials supporting child in the early years of learning on how to read to change the negative trend. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Knowledge of the past aids the understanding of today, and this helps planning for the future. If you agree with this, you will also agree with the question many are asking. Should the study of history in schools be a matter of negotiation in a developing country like Nigeria? Some of the questions and answers that may be running through your mind are what Olenka Ojo in this report seeks to answer.
Who is the Senate President of Nigeria?
The Senate President of Nigeria is Ahmed Lawan.
Who discovered River Niger?
They didn't teach us.
Who was the first Prime Minister of Nigeria?
Sorry, I don't have any idea.
There was a time in history when pupils of primary schools and students of secondary schools can comfortably talk about the Benin Kingdom, the old Oyo Empire, as well as the Borno Empire without missing words. The struggle for Nigeria's independence was a milestone in the nation's history. And this key component of country's nationhood is something succeeding generations need to have an understanding of. And as a discipline in the humanities, history was an important and intellectual force in the decolonization struggle of the 1950s in Nigeria. However, in 1982, history along with some related subjects at primary and junior secondary schools were merged in the school curriculum and called social studies. These, historians and educationists say, led to underachievements in the teaching and learning of the subject.
Talking about the old generation who never had the opportunity to understand their own history, who never had the opportunity to understand how they got to even where they are as a people, as a country. And for me, that's a major it is a major disservice to them, because there's no way, no matter what they become, whether they become doctors, lawyers, or anything, there is that particular disconnect to continue to be there.
History is such a fundamental course, and it should be taught in the primary school.
It is against this backdrop that the Nigerian Educational and Research Development Council was directed by the Ministry of Education to reintroduce history as a subject in the education system.
To deepen the positive understanding of our traditional values.
This is to expose children to a body of knowledge that will enable them appreciate history as an instrument for national integration and nation building, even in the 21st century.
This development represents a fundamental shift in policy that history is coming back, and it demonstrates the conviction of the current administration of the importance of history as a tool for self-knowledge.
The new curriculum for history is divided into lower, middle, and upper basic. Contents for the subject include concept and meaning of history, origin of history, migration and settlement pattern of the people in Nigeria.
What we have done is to try as much as possible to make it Nigerian history, to teach about the history of Nigerian communities and Nigerian peoples. We have heroes and heroines to teach our children about our place, our traditional institutions, our government institutions, our democracy, how it evolved over time.
The consensus by experts and historians is that the subject will enable pupils and students appreciate the basis of unity and also deepen their knowledge aside empowering them to understand the forces that shapes the affairs of the world and their critical place in it. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Well, you've said it all, Olenka Ojo, in that report, because before you know where you're going to, you must know where you're coming from. I think that plays there. Now, imagine driving into cities like Lagos, Kano, Enugu, Benin, Port Harcourt, Ibadan, or Kaduna, and you see no road signs. Are you sure you can survive the experience? Now, the idea of road signs is to convey information to road users, encourage road safety, and assist in the free flow of traffic. Surprisingly, however, a lot of motorists ignore these road signs at their peril, or is it that they don't know about road signs and markings? Oyeyemi Ajayi provides some answers to these questions and more.
What do you know about it as road signs?
I actually, honestly, it's very good. Yeah, government has really improved in it.
I don't understand about zebras passing time. I don't understand really.
I don't know.
These are actually drivers who ply Nigerian roads daily. Their viewpoints, to some extent, reflect the perception and knowledge of road signs by some road users.
Very vividly, somebody we asked to tell us the difference between a broken line and a solid line. And he was telling us that when money was still available, when there was no SAP, no economic downturn, government could buy paint and paint it straight, while now that they are now managing.
No wonder sites like these are seen every day. Should we blame it on ignorance of road signs by road users, or simply the attitude of drivers? Many a times, these careless acts by drivers result in accidents that lead to loss of lives. To make the roads free from accidents and gridlocks, different road traffic signs are erected to guide drivers and guard commuters from avoidable accidents. For instance, the idea of traffic lights is to allow for easy flow of human and vehicular movement, but many still defy the warning signs, especially when there are no law enforcement agents inside to checkmate defaulters. Unfortunately, the recklessness of these drivers have also led to untimely death of traffic control agents and sometimes innocent pedestrians. Many have questioned the penalties for traffic offenders and compliance level of different traffic rules.
It's 2,000 naira fine if you are caught. Sometimes you are asked to make that payment. Sometimes you are prosecuted by a magistrate, probably in a mobile court. But by and large, that is one of the reasons why Operation Cobra was set up with a pilot scheme in Abuja. And if you road sign or traffic light signs violation, if you violate it here in Abuja, after payment, you are still sent to hospitals for psychological and evaluation.
Despite these punishments and fines, different reasons have been given for violations of traffic signs and markings.
It's an attitude problem. Negligence. We try to neglect some of these very simple things.
It has become imperative for road users and pedestrians to get used to the various signs and markings on roads and highways in order to ensure an accident-free driving experience on Nigerian roads.
This is the zebra crossing road sign, and as expected, once a pedestrian steps his foot on it, oncoming vehicles are meant to stop automatically. But here, let's see how it goes. As they say, there is a need for much enlightenment for motorists to know the usefulness of not just the zebra crossing, but most of the road signs in different parts of the country. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
Wow, we've said it all. The Federal Road Safety Corps FRSC has vowed to dismiss from service any of its personnel found extorting motorists. The Corps Public Education Officer, Mr. Bisi Kasim, who gave the warning in Abuja, was reacting to the recent arrest of 37 FRSC operatives for alleged extortion of motorists on the highways. The Corps Public Education Officer said that the magnitude of the penalty would depend on the gravity or weight of the evidence and exhibit against personnel involved in the act. The FRSC management had, in a complaint to ICPC, said the incidents of extortion were in 6 states: Kaduna, Bauchi, Abia, Rivers, Kogi, and Ogun. There were reports that a team comprising the FRSC, ICPC, and DSS made the arrest in the erring personnel recently. And up ahead is weather and sports after the break.
They are there at the crack of dawn. They are there busy preparing while we rise for our day. They are there silently, guarding, waiting, listening, and watching. They are there ready in the sky above and the waters below, in the blistering heat of the day, in the dead of night, willing, indefatigable, determined in the defense of the sovereignty of our country. They are our first line of defense and our last. They who have paid the ultimate price in defending us. They are fathers and uncles. They are mothers and sisters and girlfriends and boyfriends. They are brothers and cousins and best friends and neighbors. They are classmates, colleagues, and citizens of this nation. They are our defenders and deserve our respect, our prayers, our thoughts. Nigeria, please support our armed forces.
Good to know you're still with us. Nigeria is set to make meaningful progress that will yield visible results in the lives of its citizenry, following the domestication of its homegrown analytical framework designed to enable the integration of sustainable development goals. To this effect, relevant players converged on Abuja to brainstorm on its operation. Mamsuda Mendete reports.
From the 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT, policymakers trooped to this venue. The focus is to validate an integrated sustainable development goals model domestically developed to suit Nigeria's peculiar challenges to meet the 2030 target.
Policies on certain SDGs need to be reviewed.
These facilitators are hoping to prioritize the goals and mainstream them into public policies, plans and budgets.
We integrate ISDG model into the ministry, department and agencies of government. That will trickle down to the local government, 774 local government. What we have done differently and working for us is that both the private sector and public sector are using one tool to have accurate data.
We are happy that we're able to use that model to carry out analysis and costing of projects, programs and policies that will be able to mainstream into our development process.
Nigeria is on a pathway to progress in achieving the SDGs. However, what's needed at this stage is a quantum leap to really get onto track in achieving them. Their local gaps need accelerated investment and action.
The 2030 agenda envisions economic sustainability, social inclusiveness, and environmental resilience, all targeted at improving livelihoods. Momso Damien Dati, NTA News.
The day you receive your employment letter as a civil or public servant is the day your countdown to exit from the service begins. Over the years, we are told most people retire and solely depend on gratuity and pension for survival. That is, if it comes at all. Thankfully, however, concerted efforts are being put in place to ensure that civil servants carefully use their leisure time for profitable engagement. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday was at the Special Empowerment Program organized by the Office of the Head of Service Christian Fellowship.
Praise and worship in the office premises? Yes, it is coming from civil servants who are members of the Christian Fellowship in the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation.
Doing Facebook and chatting and
They converge to educate and empower themselves in bead making, gele tying, soap making, and other income-generating skills. Esther Arogundade and Ifuneya Muzie are some of the beneficiaries of the program, with the aim of getting equipped with skills that will help them in reducing the rate of their expenditure as well as making additional stipends.
And it won't affect my work. At least during my leisure time, I'll use it wisely by going into bead making, soap making, and tying of gele.
Instead of buying stuff from market and the rest of it, and we can also make beads for ourselves and also sell and teach other people how to.
John is the youth coordinator of the fellowship. He said the enterprise culture in the civil service 2017-2020 strategy and implementation plan has opened their eyes to planning for the future.
It will help to build in them that good image they want to see after serving the government, where they will be able to make meaningful impact to improve the livelihood of the citizens.
There was also a talk show on when to say yes or no on the line of duty.
Late coming to office, we need to say no, and then we need to say no also to the issue of corruption in the system as a civil servant. But we need to say yes in supporting government program and activities.
Making money, you will also impart knowledge on your children. And apart from that too, when you retire, you can graciously retire and depend on something rather than begging people for money.
Building an efficient, productive, incorruptible, and citizen-centered civil service is incorporated into the vision of the fellowship. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
And for news trending around the globe, let's join our foreign desk.
Many thanks for joining us. The Sovereign Council that will oversee Sudan's transition to democracy is due to take office. Generals and protest leaders agreed on the final composition of the council late on Tuesday, 4 months after Sudan's longtime ruler Omar al-Bashir was forced out of power. The council consists of 5 military officers and 6 civilians, 2 of them women, 1 from Sudan's Christian minority. Among those being sworn in is the outgoing military leader, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah Abdurrahman. He will be in charge of the Sovereign Council for the first 21 months. A civilian will then take over until elections in 2022. In the meantime, migrants on board the open arms rescue ship disembarked the vessel at the Italian port of Lampedusa after spending 19 days stranded at the sea. It comes after an Italian prosecutor ordered the seizure of the ship. Almost 100 migrants rescued off the coast of Libya had been on the ship, and 15 of them have jumped off the boat in a desperate bid to escape deteriorating conditions. Away from Africa, China has threatened to impose sanctions on U.S. firms involved with the sale of F-16 fighter planes to Taiwan if Washington goes ahead with the deal. And that's it from here. I'm Obiageli Ugoke. Many thanks for your time.
And from foreign to sports. International Tennis Academy concludes grassroots program in Abuja. Kene Emma Abduke tells us more.